return to that breaking news from the US now that conservative activist and Donald Trump ally Charlie Kirk has died after being shot in Utah this morning. The 31-year-old Charlie Kirk was a strong supporter of the MAGA movement and was speaking at a large gathering at Utah Valley University before a single shot was fired. The shooter was about 200 metres away and is still at large. President Trump confirmed Charlie Kirk's death on social media earlier, writing, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he's no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." That post from Donald Trump earlier. Let's go to the United States now. We're joined by CNN's Michael Yoshida, live from Washington, D.C. So what is the latest information that CNN has this morning, Michael?
Hey, good to be with you, Peter. You talk about the investigation into this shooting, and at this point, all the focus is on trying to figure out who the shooter was, trying to track down that shooter, the person responsible for shooting and then killing the conservative activist and, as you mentioned, Trump ally Charlie Kirk. He was speaking at that campus in Utah, a wide open area on that campus, speaking to a very large crowd when that one shot rang out, according to witnesses, hitting Kirk in the neck, and then he fell to the ground. He was taken to the hospital, where again later he was pronounced dead. At this point, we know state and local authorities are on the scene. We're told that police have been going through the buildings on that campus, clearing them as they continue that search for the shooter. At one point, there was video out there. There's also a report from the university that someone was in custody. They later took that back, saying that the suspect was not in custody and this search is continuing. We did hear from the university as well, as you mentioned, that they believe the shot may have come from a building on campus about 200 yards away from where Kirk was speaking. But again, a lot of questions that need to be answered at this point. The main one being, who was the shooter? Where are they? The campus has been closed as they continue this investigation. We know the FBI is assisting in on the scene, as well as the ATF, with resources from the entire federal government being brought to try and track down that shooter.
All right, and any information we get, folks, we'll be sure to bring it to you. Michael, thank you so much.
We're just getting some breaking news to hand as well. Hearing that the shooter has been questioned and released. So the FBI saying, and we'll bring up, I think this is coming from Kash Patel? I'll just get word from our producers whether that has been confirmed. Yeah, this is a tweet from Kash Patel. The subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues and we will continue to release information in the interest of transparency. So they do not have this shooter.
Correct.
They do not have. They have two people of interest, and this second one has now been released. So that shooter is still on the run. Paul Murray, I'll see you tonight. You'll be speaking to Megan Kelly. You'll have that full interview. Look forward to seeing it. Let's go live now to Michael Harrigan. He's a former FBI agent and the partner at Pax Group. Michael, thanks so much for your time. This news just through. You would have heard breaking news on the bottom of your screen. There's been a bit of confusion this morning, so I just want to bring our viewers up to speed. When Charlie Kirk was first shot, the university said that they had someone in custody being detained. That person was not charged, believed not to be the shooter, but was detained for obstructing justice. Then we heard from Kash Patel that there was a second suspect, the likely shooter, in custody. That was about an hour ago. Now, in the last 15 minutes, he has updated that, saying that person in custody has been released after interrogation. What do you make of this?
Well, it sounds like it's very preliminary, and you can see where the police department, especially, and the management of that university are under immense pressure to put information out to the public, to try to allay fears, to try to reassure people that things are okay. So sometimes in these instances, they may jump a little too quick, and someone who's being questioned by the investigators, someone like Mr. Patel may have been somewhat removed, gotten inaccurate information or information that was very preliminary, and it turned out not to be the case. And that's normally what happens in these situations. You can have many people that are scooped up, potentially taken into custody, that are questioned, and they're eliminated as suspects, especially if this individual, the actual individual who did the shooting, fled into the campus. And if he wasn't from there, or if he was using an area not near his dorm room or other areas, it may take a while to identify who he was. So this is just normal thing. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be questioning people aggressively in this case. But, you know, it just tells me that law enforcement is churning away, working very hard to try to figure out who did this.
They are absolutely, Michael. And from what we know, what has been stated publicly by the FBI, they have grainy CCTV footage of a person dressed in very dark clothing. But from that, the inference is, and reading between the lines, is the grainy footage does not help them identify with any, features that would be easier for them to track down or identify this suspect. Is it also right to say that the best chance of catching a suspect like this, it seems to be a sniper from some distance away, about 180 metres, is immediately after the shooting? And now that window has, I would say, pretty much closed.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is that with technology out there, you can't move around in society anywhere. Cell phones, security systems, campuses are filled with security cameras. But you think of the hundreds of cameras they have on campus, it takes a lot of time and resources to go through that footage, to have people looking through the footage. And from that grainy photograph may become enough. They may get enough information to then match it up with other clearer photographs. But there's a lot of work to be done. It's made more difficult from the fact that the individual, like you say, he was 180 meters away. He wasn't right there in the crowd. So he was secreted somewhere. Sounds like it might be a roof on an elevated surface. So from that distance, he likely had time to get down, flee the scene. Whether he took his rifle or not, he could have left his rifle there, which is going to be a treasure trove of information and evidence, or if he took it with him. So again, you look at this, I think that makes it much more difficult when you have a sniper shot from a distance here. But it's going to be, I think this case will be resolved fairly quickly. It's just going to be a lot of churning here as they go through that campus and try to identify not only the individual, but they're trying to identify if there's other or a greater conspiracy. There could be other individuals that were working with this person. That's their main concern. They want to make sure that the threat is finished for the university, and that whoever the person is didn't have plans potentially to move on to some other target somewhere. So that's law enforcement's main concern here, is to get this thing ended, get it definitively an arrest made, and then start the hard work of looking into this individual's background to see who they were, what they were thinking, and what issues they may have been facing that caused them to act out violently like this.
Yeah, indeed. And this is just the confirmation from Kash Patel. He's used Twitter or X to confirm this news. The subject in custody has been released after interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in the interest of transparency. Michael, at the risk of getting you to repeat yourself, it doesn't seem like they have all that much information at the moment, but what happens right now? Are they, in a practical sense, would they still be looking in the vicinity? Do they start searching further afield? Would there be roadblocks and things like that?
It depends. It depends on whether they get information that the person may have been a student there. They're going to be looking hard at that. But if they don't know what is going on, like what we see through the media here, we're getting bits and pieces. Likely they have much more information than they're sharing, which is normal in these cases. But I think this is where the media is key, because the media is putting this information out in a timely manner when they get it. And that's important for the public to know, because at some point this individual is going to be identified, or there'll be pictures of him unidentified, or maybe a vehicle or something. And that's where the public really plays a huge role here in providing information to the public or to the police on who this individual may be. So there's going to be a lot more work to be done here. And it's really hard to say whether the individual stayed on campus or if they left campus. There's really, I mean, a lot of times in these situations, you're going to see the individual flee and they're going to leave the scene to get themselves to safety. But it all depends on the mindset of the person doing the killing. He may be thinking that, he's got anonymity here. He may not be thinking clearly. He may be staying there in a dorm room. But I think the police at this point probably have a good idea whether he left or not. And, they'll probably be doing some intensive searches in the surrounding area.
Michael, just one final question here. You would have seen the raw footage. I've seen it. It is shocking and graphic. And I can't really get it out of my head, to be honest. There was some commentary online that it looked like the bullet bounced off perhaps a bulletproof vest and hit him in the neck. Have you seen that video? Would you like to make any observations about it?
I didn't. I did the assessment on the bullet that went by President Trump when he was speaking in Pennsylvania. I know I did a lot of interviews on that one. And the tricky part with ricochets is you really don't know until the actual projectile is examined to see if it had hit another surface. And a large part of it is the deformation on the projectile. If it hit his spine, it's going to cause deformation. Potentially even soft tissue will cause deformation. So, it's kind of preliminary, but there are circumstances that we know of where someone just gets very lucky in a shot.
Yeah.
They may not have a rifle
So
that's
you
properly
think this
sighted
is luck?
in.
I mean, it's 180 metres away, one shot.
I would say, I wouldn't really jump to that conclusion myself, but it depends on they'll be looking at when the person's in custody, they'll be looking at the training he had. They'll be examining the rifle. They're going to be test firing the rifle. They're going to find out if it was sighted in. They're going to find out how accurate it is. They're going to do all this work. That's long after the case an arrest has been made. And then we'll be able to tell whether this individual has some type of training or skills here. But 180 yards with a modern hunting rifle is not in any way considered a very long distance. That's considered a very short to medium distance. So that's not a difficult shot with a hunting rifle. So, if it was a handgun, that would be a different ballgame. That's a very long shot for a handgun, very unlikely. But with a rifle, modern hunting rifles, again, combined with the skill of the shooter, puts that within the plausible range. But you look at the shot to the neck. Usually when someone is shooting to assassinate someone, they're shooting for the head, right? They want instant, the spot on the body, which is most likely to cause instant incapacitation and death, which is a headshot. So the next shot gives some indication that maybe the shot did fall low. Or maybe it was aimed at the head and it fell low, or maybe it was aimed at the chest and it rose up. There's a lot of factors here, but we'll find that out once they do the forensic analysis at some point.
Michael Harrigan, thank you for your time today.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.